All right, going live in three, two, one. Well, this is the Working Title Experience episode number 28. And for this evening show or morning, afternoon, or wherever you may be located throughout the world, I have Amanda on. Amanda, she likes to talk about, she practices and teaches yoga. She's also a nutrition coach, and she also likes to focus. Let me see if I get this right. She's a whole food she's all about whole food focus. I'm gonna say, let me bring Amanda up so she can correct me on this one. It says you're all about whole food focused eating. Is that right?
Yeah, so my nutrition coaching is really focused on the whole food lifestyle. So the more that we can do, I feel like nutrition wise, to bring in whole foods and not and let go a little bit of the processed foods, the better it is for our bodies.
Okay. Okay. Well, before we go a little bit further, I'm going that you're. I was afraid to say your last name because I know I'm going to butcher it. So if you. Do you want to? If you want people to know what your last name is, how do you pronounce it?
It's Gargiulo.
Gargiulo. Okay, forgive me for that one. So,
No,
um,
that's fine. I'd rather you tell me that because so many people have mispronounced my name. I've been Gargiulio. I've been Gargulo. So better off that I just tell you what it is.
Yeah, I'm really bad with names. I'm with trying to pronounce names. I have to do it every day. I do a regular newscast on a radio station in Leesburg, Virginia. And I'm always looking at the pronunciation of names. I figured I'd just ask you just to make sure. I knew I was going to butcher it, whatever it was. So
You're perfect. It's totally fine.
so how is this? How's your week been going? Everything going good with you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, we were just saying before that it's been so hot here in New York. I practice and teach hot yoga, and I haven't been physically in the hot yoga studio for a while because of, COVID. So everything's been virtual. So yesterday was one of my first classes back. So of course I wait for the day where it feels like 100 degrees to go back to the studio. So it was an interesting experience. And if anybody out there practices hot yoga, I don't know if you do either, Zoom, but anybody that practices hot yoga would understand. It was a very intense experience yesterday.
What is hot yoga? I know I've heard of yoga, but what is hot yoga? Is it's not hot because of the temperature?
Yes. So we practice in 90-degree heat.
So it is literally hot. Okay, okay, I got you.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's a like a power flow class. So you're flowing, you're sweating. It's good to get the toxins out, but because it was my first class back in such a while, I was actually the teacher got a little nauseous. I was a little nauseous, so it was an exciting experience.
Well, you got me curious. What about the middle of winter time? Can you do a hot yoga class in the middle of winter?
Yeah, because it's in studio, so the studio owner, they pump up the heat, and we actually have radiant heat panels on the ceiling that heat the room to 90 degrees. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
nice in the winter.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I was just curious if it was just a seasonal thing. Okay. So is hot yoga like, is that a common, because I've never heard of that before. Pardon my ignorance, please. But as far as, is this a regular course or is this something that's more unique to or more specialized?
That's a good question. Well, there's all different styles of yoga. So there's like Ashtanga yoga. There's Bikram. I think Bikram is how you pronounce it, but like Bikram people, like the Americans say. There's Vinyasa, which is a flow yoga. Which you know what it is? It's easier to move to get into the movement, into the physical movement when your body's a little bit warm.
Oh,
So yeah, and then I practice Baptiste. Baron Baptiste is the creator of the style of yoga that I teach and that I practice. So it is his style of yoga is usually heated between 85 to 90 degrees.
okay. Okay. So I guess during the wintertime, your heating bills will be pretty high then, I guess. So
Oh yeah. hmm
no.
And sorry, because of the pandemic, I was practicing at home. So I actually went like one of the first things I ordered because everybody started ordering Amazon in the beginning of the pandemic last year, right? So one of the first things I ordered was a space heater, and I was heating my bedroom. I was closing the doors, heating the bedroom, just so that I could get that warm flow.
Oh, this, the
hmm
so are there any other kinds of yoga classes that you teach then?
Yeah, I teach all different styles. So I teach gentle yoga, which is like a slower flow. I also teach restorative yoga. Like I teach a basic flow, which is not heated, but it's they still like it to be a little bit warm, but that's not heated.
Oh, okay. Before we go any further, as I was telling you before we started the show, we'd like to engage the audience with a question. So let me go ahead and bring this up. I forgot to check this before we went live. Hopefully, you'll be able to see this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen with you, and this is how we. The people that watch this show will know this is how we engage. I was telling you this as well, how we engage the audience with a question that we can check out throughout the show. Usually at least once or twice by the end of the show, we see how what kind of response we can get. So give me a second here while I bring this up. Hopefully, let me know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Oh, good, great. Sometimes we have a little bit of an issue with people not updating their computers, and everything should be good then. So, alrighty.
Mm-hmm.
So, what question would you like to ask our audience?
So me, I asked them something.
What that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you're telling me to ask them something, or they ask us something?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, you. I'm sorry, you. Would you like? Yeah, if you have a question, you can ask the audience, and then what we'll do is I'll type it out, and then we'll give them some. Basically, we have up to 5 different answers we can give them, so they can vote on it, and then you come up with the question. It can be anything, anything you'd like.
Wow, I thought it was the other way around. So now I feel like I've been put on the spot. Can I ask like everybody's favorite vacation location?
Sure. That's
Okay.
we go. I don't think we've asked similar questions, but I don't think anything that's specific about vacations. So, what is your favorite favorite place to vacation? Would you like to ask that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite place to vacation? Okay. Now we have to give them a set of answers. What would you give for the first result? What would the first answer be for you?
Aruba.
Oh, you would pick something I don't know how to spell. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Aruba.
Oh, it's that simple. Okay.
Yes, that's it. It's spelled like it sounds.
Okay. Alrighty. What's the second one?
Florida.
Florida. Oh, that's a pretty big area of Florida. Okay.
San Diego. Should we do like that specific?
San Diego. Okay, that's interesting. Why San Diego? I'm curious.
I know because my brother went there recently and he said he had such an incredible time visiting.
Oh, okay. Right near the border there.
Yeah, let's see if anybody else likes it, I guess. What else? What do you think, Zoom? Is there a spot that you like to vacation?
Yeah, let me think. I would say you already picked California. I went on a trip to California once several years ago. Maybe maybe someplace I've never been. I'm trying to think of something that may be exciting. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
What about Bermuda?
That's exactly.
Were you thinking that?
Yeah. that was funny. So okay.
We're completely connected.
Yes. Right? Yeah. And what we'll do for the final answer, what we'll do is we'll let the audience choose their own answer. How's that? Their own location.
I think that's a perfect idea.
Okay, and we'll leave your response in the comments. Now I got to check my grammar here. Sometimes I have atrocious grammar when I'm typing really quickly. So let's see. You choose, leave your response in the comments. What is your favorite place to vacation? Oops, I put Aruba up there. Didn't mean to do that. There we go.
And you misspelled choose.
Oh, choose. I said chose. Thank you. There we go.
And then you missed the E in response.
Oh, you know what that is? Let's see. Where is? Oh, I see.
Right after the R.
Yeah, I see it now. Thank you. You're gonna laugh at me. I'm looking at a monitor that's probably about 4 feet away from me. I need some reading glasses here. Sorry.
You're perfect. I got you. Don't worry. We'll tag team it.
Okay. So that looks good. Ready to go. I'm going to go and post that unless you think it should be changed at all.
No, perfect. You got
Cool.
it.
There we go. So we'll come back to that, and I'm sure it's going to happen. And when we come back to it, you'll see we'll get several people that are going to mention fictional locations in the video game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I'm just letting you know that's a very common thing to happen when we do this. So,
Okay.
so alrighty. Have you ever played that game before? It's just curious. My fans will be curious because that's the video. That's the game that's most uploaded to this channel.
Is that okay? So now I'm gonna date myself because Grand Theft Auto brings me back years and years and years. Is this like a newer version
This
of the
one
original?
This one came out in particular in 2004. That's when it was released.
Okay.
So we're
I,
talking, what it'll turn was that 17 years old in October, I think. I think it came out in October of 2004. So,
yeah, I've definitely played that one. You know what other game I love too? Mortal Kombat. Did you ever play Mortal Kombat?
no, I've not, but I know what it
Mm.
is. That's the one
Hmm.
where they misspell combat with a K, right?
Yes, and that makes me think of being a kid at the where was it? I think it was at the bowling alley that game was, and we would all fight over it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you'd fight it. Wait, but you'd fight over the game, and then you'd fight in the game too. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I I was never I've seen I remember seeing the arcade game. It was as far as the how many different versions were there? Were there a couple different versions of that game?
Oh, that's you're asking the wrong person on that one.
Oh, the
I
so
don't know.
any other video games that you're interested in, or just my fans may be curious?
No, no. I mean, I don't really play video games that often, unfortunately, I guess. But I remember when we were younger, like playing Atari.
Oh,
Play
okay.
like dating myself back now, but like playing like Centipede and all those games. And
The,
I used to love on my Nintendo when I was a kid playing. Do you remember there was a game like a game show on TV called Remote Control?
oh
Do you
yes.
remember that
Oh
show?
yeah. Yeah, MTV with yes, I did. I watched. That was a very weird, funny show. I watched it a lot actually. I can't.
Yeah. So I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. That's fine. I was just pausing myself, but go ahead.
Yeah. So they had a video game for Nintendo,
Oh,
Remote Control, and me and my next door neighbor growing up used to play it all the time. So that was my favorite one.
who was in that show? Goodness. Oh, you have I have to look this up now. You would bring that up, so
Was it Chris Hardwick? Was he the one? Was that him or no?
I don't Chris Hardwick. That I'm not sure. Hold on a second. I'll bring up the listing here for it.
It says
19 was it 1990? Oh, here it is. I found it. I'm bringing it up right now. So I'll bring it up on the screen too. Give me 1 second here while I log into my account so we can look at it a little
was
bit
it
more.
is it Ken Ober?
That's it. Ken Ober. Yes, Ken Ober. That's it. Here we go. I'm going to
Oh,
bring it up on the screen here. Here's the bring up the IMDb listing for it right here. So here we go. Yeah, Ken Ober, Colin Quinn. He was the regular on there. He was the one with the deep gravelly voice, if I remember correctly.
wow.
Yeah, and I always remember like they always had the whoever lost, they would be pulled back, like if I remember correctly, they were pulled back inside like by a bunch of arms or something. I don't remember. Like they were in a chair. They're always in a lazy chair, one of those lazy recliner chairs, and
Yes.
the person who lost was always be pulled back in by a bunch of hands or something, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah. Wasn't there like popcorn? Didn't popcorn go flying too?
yeah, yeah, I think so. But I don't know why I watched that show, but I remember it was on every day. I think Monday through Friday. It was a
Mhm.
quirky little show, but I definitely remember. I'm surprised most people that I talk about don't even remember this show. That's why I'm glad you remembered it. That's a good thing there. So
Yeah, I remember random things. Like I also am really good. This is weird. A weird fact about me too is that like I love theme songs. I know all the theme songs from old shows. It's
really,
weird. Yeah.
how about the TV show Taxi?
Eh. No, that was before my time.
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't know that one.
Okay, that song is um was originally supposed to be one of the characters. From what I understand, I found this out recently. It was one of the characters in the show. Each character had their own theme whenever there something would happen. So they happened to play one of the theme songs one time, and they said, "Oh, that would sound good for the show intro." And so it ended, instead of becoming the character's theme, it became the entire show's theme, which is one of those weird, I guess, little interesting pieces of trivia. So, but you've never seen the show, so I guess it doesn't matter at this point. So,
Yeah, but I love learning new things about like you said, like pieces of trivia. I love that stuff.
oh, okay. So what shows do you know? I'm just curious. What show intros?
Like a lot. Do you know the growing pains? Those kind of shows.
I never watched the show, but I bet you if I heard it, I probably would. So
You probably
unfortunately,
would know it.
I would love to play some of the theme songs on here. Unfortunately, what's going to happen is YouTube's going to give us a copyright, and we're going to get blocked almost immediately.
Oh
So
yeah.
uh, even though we're critiquing this stuff, they'll still block us. So yeah, unfortunately. But how about Married with Children?
Oh yes.
Love and
Love
Marriage.
and marriage, love. I'm definitely not a singer, but yeah. Oh yeah. Wow.
So as far as
Mhm.
TV shows go, you said you also secretly love reality TV. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know if maybe a lot of us do. Hopefully it's not just me. That's what I should have asked. I should have asked what everybody's favorite reality show was.
Oh,
Like it's like those are like those what do they call them? Guilty pleasures, you know?
hmm. I can
Mm-hmm.
honestly say I've only ever watched one reality TV show, and it was from 15 years ago. You may maybe you've heard of it. It was called Pinks. And what they would do is these people would build these cars. They would race on a drag strip, and whoever lost would lose their car to the person who won. And it was called Pinks because they were racing for their pink slips, the ownership of the car, essentially. So
Oh wow, what a cool concept.
it was pretty cool. And then I always like to see these guys are usually a bunch of redneck types, and they're all tough and everything. And they would build their car, and then they come in and they'd be all sad at the end. I didn't like it was
You kind of feel bad for them, right?
yeah, yeah. And they were always arguing back and forth. It was just funny to see these tough guys all angry at each other. And then the problem with the show is eventually it just turned into a straight drag racing show. It was just boring. So I just stopped watching it. It was just boring. It could go to you watch that on any like sports channel or anything. It was like who wants to watch regular drag racing? I want to see the people lose their cars. That was the fun part.
So funny. That makes me think of the show. There was a show on MTV, Pimp My Ride.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yes, that's another one. Who's the guy who did that? Oh, he had a rapper name of some. Hold on a second. I have to remember what this guy's name is. Pimp
I'm
My
making you look everything up tonight. I'm making you work so hard.
that was a funny show. And well, the one thing I always wondered about that show were the people who had their cars pimped out. Uh here it is. I'm bringing it up right
Oh,
now. I was always wondering, did their cars get stolen and broken into afterwards? I mean, they looked like they came from poor neighborhoods to begin with the cars, how ratty they were. I'm wondering how many people's cars got actually like burglarized or stolen afterwards, after the show was done.
yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. You
There's,
know, I recently, I don't know, I recently spoke to some people because I also act and model and host also. And I was speaking to a casting agent not that long ago, and she works in reality TV, and she was saying that a lot of the things that the non-scripted shows you don't realize, like she was actually specifically talking about Pimp My Ride too. She said that at the end of the show, some of the cars, like the things would just fall off because it was just done for TV, you know. So the things looked great, and then later on, a few days later, the things would like fall apart because they weren't done really that well.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't let somebody do that to my car, especially the way they were just slapping the Bondo on there and all this others. I was like, you're not doing anything to the car. Is still, I hate to say it, a junky piece of crap. So
Mm-hmm.
you're just painting it up to look pretty, but it's still gonna probably run really crappy unless they replace the engine or did anything to the suspension, which it didn't seem like they did that a lot. So yeah. And
Yeah,
I agree.
definitely.
And I've heard that too, that like not only did the stuff come off, but sometimes they would actually take the stuff off after the show was done, intentionally take it off. So like they
Oh, wow.
so, like it was just there for the show, and then they would take it off after they were done. So they didn't
Mm-hmm.
even let the people keep the stuff that they put on the car. So
Oh, that sucks.
and then here's some pictures of yeah, I don't know if I want to uh an old Chevrolet. Not very much. Anyway, it's not very
Oh,
much.
there he is. What's his exhibit? He was
Exhibit.
exhibit, right?
Exhibit. Yes, thank you. I was trying to remember how to pronounce the name there.
Yeah.
And the scenes that were like with any, obviously when you watch anything on TV, it's obviously all mostly staged, even though they say it's all reality show but it's not. They're just showing you what they want you to see. The
Hmm.
whole scene where they'd come up to meet the person at the house was all staged. Everything was all staged essentially. So it wasn't really reality TV as they'd like to make you think it was. So,
Hmm. It's
but
like
yeah,
reality in quotes,
yes.
air quotes.
I used to watch that show a lot, and I was like, I felt so sorry for those people after they got their cars. I figured there's no way. I don't know. Even if they let them keep any of that stuff, they're going to drive around. People are going to be looking at them and laughing. I think most of the time.
Definitely.
So, the any other reality TV shows? Did you ever hear of this one? The TV show Lost, which was the one about the island where the people got lost in the island. There was a reality show that was actually called Lost before that show came out. Did you ever hear of that one?
No, it sounds interesting. Did you watch that?
No, I think I maybe watched maybe a couple of episodes. I wasn't really into it, whatever it was. But when I say no is I when the TV show Lost, the other one came out with the drama, the with the I and people were talking about Lost for a long time, or not a long time, for a few months anyway, because I didn't watch it. I thought they were talking about the reality show. So I was like,
Oh.
and then
Mhm.
I was like, why? How come people are liking this reality show so much? And I looked it up on the internet, and there were actually two different shows called Lost. I was like, oh, okay, I see now. So, but there's also one where they call the Real Gilligan's Island. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
That one I think I heard of, but I never watched it.
Okay, yeah, I think I watched
Mm-hmm.
maybe a couple of times and just gave up. So I wasn't really into it. So what? Why
Mm-hmm.
do you? What's the thing about reality shows? What does it make them? Why do you secretly love them?
I don't know. I guess I just love having that window into somebody else's life. And like I feel like they have cool premise, like that. Some of the premises of some of them are really cool. Like there's one right now that I'm kind of obsessed with. Like I've been obsessed with it since it first started. Well, not since it first started because I didn't find it until years later. But Married at First Sight. I also love relationships, and I feel like I like to watch how like other people's mistakes and then learn from them in a relationship. So I love watching Married at First Sight and like thinking about like the things that they're having them do, and because there's experts that there's one of the two of the experts are therapists. One's like a marriage therapist. One of them's also a marriage therapist, and then there's also a pastor. So it's like very interesting to see the different perceptions around how other people see the relationships and the people in the relationships, how they see the relationship. So interesting. And then these people literally are married at first sight. Like they don't know each other before they're married, and they make the commitment. And then after 2 months, so 8 weeks of marriage, they decide if they're going to stay together or get a divorce.
Oh, that is interest. Yeah, this. Yeah, I don't even know how to respond
Mm-hmm.
to that. I would venture to guess that what like a major percentage of those people are divorced within a couple of months.
Yeah, but the last season, I think there's 5 couples, and I think 4 of them are married. Only one of them got divorced, surprisingly,
Oh,
or
really?
maybe two. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And how do they match them up anyway? Do they like just I mean, split it all random? How do they choose? How do they decide who's going to get married to who?
So the three experts, so the two therapists, and then the pastor, like every season. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself because every season there's been different. Some of the experts switch out, but this season it's just 3 of them. So the 3 of them put these people. There's all these people that apply for the show, and then they put them through all these different surveys they have to take, and then they have to meet with the experts, and they do like in-person interviews, and they talk about what they want in a marriage, their backgrounds, all these things, and then the three experts team pair up the couples.
And then as far as like, I mean, obviously you're interested in this. What the I cannot, for me, I don't think I would want to participate in something like that. I mean, I don't know. It's just I for me, it's the relationship me to me is would be have to be something very special. I just want to be matched up with some person I don't have no clue who they are. Um, but the idea of that, I mean, that it is kind of interesting, but it seems like it might get kind of old kind of fast, or does it actually stay kind of fresh?
You mean like for the seasons? So they're like in the 13th season now.
Oh, really? Wow. Oh, I didn't know it was that
Yeah.
long. Okay. Okay. I don't pay attention to these kind of shows, you can tell. Wow, okay, so I guess it does stay fresh enough. I'd love to keep it going there. So I guess that answers that question. As far as the I guess as overall, you said like only you said that what out of the last five, there was only one that got divorced. Is that what you said before, or is that like an average as far as how many get divorced?
No, there have been other seasons where a lot of them have gotten divorced. So
Oh,
no, that's not the average at all. It's really, it all depends. There was one season where there was this husband that the wife accused him of like not even being like, I don't know, like the whole season he was accusing her of drinking too much, and she was accusing him actually of not being heterosexual. So it was just very interesting. It's interesting.
so now as far as now you do, now you said you're an actress, is that right? Is that what
Hmm.
you so what have you been in? Anything that we might know?
No, no, I did industrials, so you wouldn't have seen them because they're internal for like pharmaceutical companies and things like that. So you wouldn't have seen it.
Oh,
No, I
okay.
just a few weeks ago though I did film an independent silent short film, and that's actually going to be hopefully fingers crossed in the New Jersey Film Festival.
It's a silent film. Interesting. Why silent? I mean, can you talk about it? I mean, I don't want to, if you're, if you can't talk about it, that's fine. But I mean, can you explain why it's silent?
Well, the producer just has like these passion projects, the executive producer, and it was something that he really creatively wanted to try. He wanted to try to do something that would bring people back to the olden times and to just do something different. So that was what he chose to do. So it's actually still currently in production. So that won't, I don't think we're going to see any of that for probably quite some time.
Oh, okay. Well, Mel Brooks made a
Mm-hmm.
movie during the 1970s called Silent Movie. I don't know if you know that. And there was no dialogue at all spoke at all, as far as I remember, throughout the entire movie. It was actually done in color, which is kind of interesting, but I think it had text. I haven't seen it for a long time, but it sounds like
Mm-hmm.
similar to what you're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, this was like this was like an ode to the Charlie Chaplin era.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as like what was it done in video? What kind of video was it done in film, or was it done in actual like digital? How was it recorded? I'm just curious.
Like regular cameras.
Okay, so no,
Yeah.
not going back like to the old style film way of capturing things.
Oh,
Okay.
no, not at all. But it's going to be in black and white, and they did dress us like in that era as well. But no, it was filmed just the same way that we film currently. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. What aspect ratio was it? I'm just do you know? Like was it like 16:9?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know any of that.
Okay. I was wondering if it'd be like more of a widescreen or more of a, because most movies back in that time were not widescreen. So I was just curious if they're if they're trying to capture that feel. There's a TV show, a fan-made TV show that's called Star Trek Continues. And I've watched the episodes that they made. They made like 13 episodes, and it's similar to what you were doing. They actually made the Star Trek sets. They made the identical to the way they looked in the TV show. They also what they did is they filmed the imagery. I'm sorry, they captured it in a 3:4 aspect ratio, which is the same aspect ratio the original show was done in. They made the colors, the lighting exactly the same as the original TV show to try to capture the way it was when it was done back in the 1960s. And It was actually pretty interesting. It sounds like kind of like what you're saying there a little bit. So
Hmm. That sounds incredible. What? And now you're saying that this was done by the fans?
yeah, it was a fan made production. There's a lot of this. I don't know if you're a fan of Star Trek or not, but this would probably be, there's a lot of Star Trek fan productions on YouTube. You can see them, but this is probably the best produced one out of all the ones I've seen. So it's called Star Trek Continues, and they're all fans. There might some of the people in them were might have had a little bit of a celebrity status. The guy who one of the a person who played the part of Sulu, who was one of the characters in the show, he the actor in the current version was from the show Mythbusters. He was one of the people that was in Mythbusters. He was a big Star Trek fan, so that he was able to come in and play one of the parts in the show. So he's kind of a mini celebrity of sorts. Uh, and then the guy who plays Scotty, who's another character in the show, is the actual in the current show was is the son of the actual actor from the original show. So it's kind of like he's also kind of a mini celebrity of sorts. So,
Wow,
but
that's really cool.
yeah, they do a pretty decent job of that. It's if you're a fan of the show, I would recommend that, that particular show. Some of the other ones are kind of silly, but this one is actually done pretty well. So, but just getting back to what you're saying about the movie, this movie you're making, was it hard? Was it hard to adjust, or how did you actually speak? And then, like, I mean, obviously they weren't recording, the sound isn't going to be used. I mean, how did you do that?
So it was actually it was a very different experience than actually being like scripted, like just what you would traditionally think of as like an acted out short film or film or anything like that, because it was the first time I did anything that was silent. So they're directing you as you're doing it. So they're like, no, try this, do this, okay, do this, do that. And they're directing you literally as you're on screen because they can talk. They're not recording the audio at all. So it's
Oh, okay.
pretty,
So,
yeah, it's pretty.
as far as what you're saying, I mean, are you actually talking too? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, we were talking. Like I was talking to my co-star when we
And-
were in character because we were eating a meal. It's actually really really funny, but we were pretty engulfed in the conversation as we were eating on camera.
oh,
It's really fun. And then they're going to do like what you're saying. They're going to add in like text cards, like what you see when you watch like an old silent film.
yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm pausing there. So that's what I was wondering about. When you actually spoke, were you actually speaking the lines that are going to be shown on those cards?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
So someone who's like blind will they be reading your lips there, and they're going, wait a minute, that doesn't match up correctly.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So you also like, I'm getting back to this for a second. You also like home makeover shows, is that right?
Oh yeah, I love HGTV. Anything on HGTV, so good. I also love cooking shows. I love cooking competition shows.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you ever watch Bob Vila's This Old House from way back in the day?
Wow, I used to watch it with my dad.
Oh, at least
Yeah.
what it was. I say it to people and they go, what are you talking about? Never heard of that. So yeah,
Yes.
my dad used to love that show, and we would watch it. He was always a big fan of that because he was always into trying to fix up the house we had when I was a kid. So he'd watch that almost religiously. So
Yeah, my dad too. My dad was an electrician, and he was so handy. My father. It's interesting too because my husband now is very handy too. So it's like they say you marry somebody like your father. I don't know, or like your mother. But I don't know. But yeah, so he used to religiously watch This Whole House as well, and he thought that that was the best one out of any like makeover show. He's like, This Whole House was the best because he explained it so well, and everything he did was proper. So he really loved that show.
and as far as what you're, don't you do interview shows yourself at this point? Aren't you doing some sort of interviewing?
Yeah, so I do I have a few things actually out there right now. I have health and wellness tips. I do cooking episodes as well where I cook with whole foods with Whole Foods, basically whole food focused meals, to show
Right.
people really how simple it is to work that into their lifestyles. And then my show where I did interviews was it's called All Inspire, and it's all about inspiring people, all about people who have maybe done something that doesn't necessarily conform to society and society's expectations. So like one of the girls that I interviewed is she's a Broadway dance captain. She captained for A Bronx Tale. I also I also interviewed a woman who started her own business. I interviewed one of my a good friend of mine who is also is a he's a published writer of a book. He wrote 2 books, so I interviewed him, and like just really showing people. And if anybody out there too, if like you have a dream or a goal that you really want to go after and you're afraid, these people give really great advice on how to just put yourself out there and do it regardless of the fear.
Well, I would say probably the biggest thing what people might fear is the fear of just failure, I guess. But
Mhm.
because if you invest time, money, and something in this, and you fail, then you're going to be set back pretty. You might go into debt. You might people that look down upon you in some way. Like, hey, you couldn't do it the right way. Unless of course your friends probably wouldn't do that. But people who are that don't know you would probably just look down upon you. I guess you might fear that. I guess I don't. Not people probably wouldn't say it to your face, but um, as far as yeah, trying to start something. Yeah, that takes a lot of courage to actually just go out and do it. So the
Yeah, it absolutely does. I have a sign in my like I work from home, so in my office space it says, "Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to try." And like
hmm,
I keep looking at it to remind myself, because I think that when it comes to fear, sometimes we can get in our own way, and it's our own thoughts that stop us from doing things that we might want to do. And like what you're saying, Zoom, it does take a lot of courage, because as humans, right, we have the human experience that we do care about what others think. We can let that take us out. And it's like, what, at the end of the day, you have to look yourself in the mirror. So if you fail, you know what? At least you tried.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate to that because that's why I started my business 15 years ago. So, and I was like, well, if I fail, at least I tried. That was the attitude. But I was also motivated because I couldn't stand the company I worked for at the time. So I just felt like that I was not being treated fairly, at least in my opinion, anyway. They might say something different, but and I just said I got to get out of this, and I don't see any other way around it. If I just jump to another job, it may be better, it may be worse, but if I try my own, maybe I can succeed. And I'm not saying it is as good as I'd like to, but at least I'm still going with it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that takes courage. It's easier. I think that at times in life it's easier to just, go the because you took the path less traveled, right? You took a chance, you took a leap. It's very inspiring.
yeah, the only problem I would say though is I think I dedicated too much of my life to it. So now I'm like trying to find ways to get back into have a better social life at this point. I think I devoted way too much time to the business. So, and
Mhm.
that's another thing you got to be very careful about is how much time are you willing to sacrifice to make it work. So, and I sacrificed some things I wish I hadn't sacrificed along the way. So it's a live and learn thing, of course. But it's the you got to be very careful about both ways. How far are you willing to go one way versus the other? Do you want to have a personal life, or do you want to be devoted to a business and making sure the business runs and succeeds? Because a lot of times businesses that you have to devote much more time than you realize. When you think about it, it's like, oh, I'm going to start a business, but then you realize you got to be there all the time. It's like a nonstop. It's a 24-hour thing. Well, at least for me, it is. So, and that could really take away a lot of things. So which it did. Some things I do regret in that regard, but as far as the business goes, I don't regret the business itself. So
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense, because nobody's ever going to care as much as you're going to care. It's like your baby. It's like, I don't know if you ever watch Shark Tank, but on that show, the entrepreneurs are basically, they're pitching themselves to the investors. But the more I watch this show, the more I realize how much time it really takes. Like you don't realize, because now, right? Basically I am my own business as well. like when you're your own business, you're your marketing person, you're your sales, your your IT, your you're your web designer, you're your social media coordinator. Like you're answering the emails, you're making the phone calls. Like the grit comes from you. So it's true. It makes a lot of sense that unfortunately you had to sacrifice because you couldn't find the balance because it was it's basically your baby, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did delegate other positions. I've added people working for me that could do some of those positions though, but it's still, I was very, still had to be focused on what they were doing. And that took away time in it either as well. So, because I can't focus on every single aspect. So I do have people that are doing sales for me. I have people that are doing different voice work for you, because work I do is primarily voice work, so I have other people doing voice work for me and things like that. So it's all delegated out. It's just not just me. So there's a staff of people that work for me as well. So that's still,
Mm-hmm.
you get devoted, you still have to be devoted to that as well. And then you get people who just don't really, I hate to say it, I'm not going to mention names, of course, but just don't care. And you think they're going to come in and be a good employee or contractor, and it turns out nope. And you got to get rid of them. It's like, yeah, that's hard to go up to them, tell them I need to get rid of you, and that kind of stuff. That's not fun. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering, I don't know how open you are to even talking about this, but I'm just going to put you on the spot now because I guess because I'm a host too, so I'm going to start interviewing you. But is
okay.
there, being that you're somebody who has owned a business for 15 years and you've seen, I'm sure, a lot of change throughout the course of that amount of time, is there any advice you would offer yourself before you took the leap?
um
Like,
well, the yeah, not to spend so much, that's for sure. I spent way too much at the very beginning. I thought it was just going to
mm-hmm,
start flowing, the revenue was just going to start flowing in, and it did not. And so I was willing to spend a lot more at the beginning than I should have, so I put myself into a little further in debt than I should have. The other thing is, it, this is kind of hard to, that's kind of, this is going to be an interesting answer, because the work that I do, is, at the time, was very relevant, and people were like, a lot of people in the industry I was working in were very impressed with what I was doing, because no one else was doing it. No one else was starting their own business to do this at the time. But the business itself has changed over the past 15 years. So right now, if I started it right, and say if I were to start now versus 15 years ago, people wouldn't be impressed at all. They'd be like, oh, whatever, it's not a big deal, because the way that the technology has changed, the way the formats because I'm in broadcasting, the way broadcasting has changed over the past 15 years, it would be a completely different reception if I were to start it now versus 15 years ago. So if I were to give myself advice in the past, I would have to, it'd be hard, because I didn't know at the time how much the
mm-hmm,
industry was going to change. So I don't know how I would tell myself, my younger self, to be, look out for the future, how the industry is going to change, and that's going to affect how the business runs. So
mm-hmm.
that would be very hard. I'm not sure how I would do that. But that was something, if I could figure some way of saying it, I would try to figure out that, and try to make it work, try to make it so the business flowed better with the way the technology and the business itself, the industry, I should say, has changed and evolved over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I guess it's like almost being like open to change, right? Like
Yeah.
be kind of flow with it in a way.
Right. Yeah, I have no problem with change. It's just I didn't know how, and I don't think a lot of people knew how the industry was going to change. It's radio, it's
Mm-hmm.
broadcast, AM and FM radio. So the idea 15 years ago that it was going to change in such a way that it was very hard to predict where it was going to go exactly, and for what I was doing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard to try to tell it was, like you said, how would I tell my younger self? It'd be very hard to give direction on that, because I wouldn't know. I'd have to be almost a fortune teller at that point to really, for some of
Yeah.
that changed. It's just no way of, some of the things were just not, there was no way of really predicting. I mean, some people
Mm-hmm.
might have been able to help me with that, but that's the hard part, is knowing how much it would have changed over the years. I'm sure it's going to change over the next 15 years as well if I continue doing it for that long. So I got to be
Mm-hmm.
prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because of the advances in technology,
Hmm.
things that nobody thought. I don't think I ever would have thought that radio would have changed so dramatically.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's and also the amount of revenue coming in. maybe we should talk about this, but the amount of revenue coming in is I'm still pulling in the same kind of revenue I was 15 years ago, but pay scales and pay rates have gone up. So it's hard for
Hmm.
me to match the current pay rates with what it was like say 15 years ago. So I tell people I
Yeah.
have to pay them a certain amount. They go, "Well, that's all you can pay." If I'd said that, the amount I'm doing now, they'd say, "Oh, wow, that's really good." They'd say those are really good amounts. So it's hard to match the pay rates at this point because I'm not pulling in the revenue. It doesn't change. It's really weird. So
Hmm.
that makes it really difficult to try to advance as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. If there's somebody else out there who wants to start their own business, like, is that would what we spoke about earlier? Would that be like the piece of advice you would offer them to just make sure that they're balancing out, social life, personal life with business life?
Uh, if they want to balance it out, I should have balanced it out more.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had I had relationships that I've kind of let dwindle and fizzle off. And at the time, because I thought, well, the business was real important. And over the past few years, I have regrets about that. So it's kind of frustrating. But it's
Mm.
letting people know that would be starting their business that, if you want to have a relationship or if you want to have, or relationships with friends or whatever, intimate relationships and things like that, make sure that you're going to have to set aside time for that. If you don't have that, if the business seems it's going to be overpowering, you may not be able to have that. That's the thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
and plan
Yeah, it's
for that. So,
yeah, it's a trade, it's a give and take, right?
right, exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So,
Yeah, my husband tells me that all the time because I'm starting, my own business too, and he says he's like you have to balance. He's like you can't be working all the time. I'm like, but when I'm not working, I feel like this pull to be working, so it's tough.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So, what is your what else do you do in your business exactly? I'm just kind of curious. Is there anything that
Oh, so because I'm also a host, so I'm a host, I'm a commercial actress, I'm a certified nutrition coach, and a yoga teacher. So I do all of those things. So I'm submitting myself for castings for hosting and for commercial acting. I'm also teaching yoga classes, and I started my own business called Nourish Your Soul Wellness, where that's where the whole food lifestyle coaching, the nutrition coaching, that's where that comes in.
okay?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. And that's what. So what? I guess the most. I guess the most. I was trying to how to phrase this. How the what made you want to do that? I guess. I guess I've tried to phrase it better, but I can't think of any. What made you want to do it?
So which part of it? I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
the hosting, the acting, the
that's a good question.
coaching. You tell me.
Which is the one that is the most prominent in your field? In what you're doing? I mean,
It kind of all works together, which is it's interesting. I'm finding that all works together. But when I first left college, when I first graduated college, I was just hosting local events around. I'm from Staten Island in New York, so I would host like very local events. Like I would host parades. I would do like there was a car show, a local car show. I would do that. And over the years, I started doing more and more with hosting. Then I co-hosted a sports podcast for a little while. A friend of mine was producing his own show called Staten Island Pizza. So it was like I would go to local pizza stores and I would interview the owners and eat and they would teach me how to make pizza and I would taste the pizza and I got to learn about relationships with people from that. And from that, um, I I ended up getting into television production. So for years I worked for in talk shows. So I worked for the Montel Williams show. I worked for the Wendy Williams show, and
wow.
I was having so I was having a great time. And then working for Wendy, I ended up I was laid off and decided to go back to school. And my husband was like, you know what? At the time I was engaged. We were just recently engaged. We were doing really well, and I lost my job. So it was like everything kind of fell apart, but it was like a good thing because it was an opportunity for me to go back to school. I got another degree. I ended up going back, decided to pursue acting, which I always loved. And then that's how I got into commercial acting. And then through the commercial acting, I got into hosting more professionally. I guess I started my own show on YouTube.
Oh,
And
you did?
then,
Really? On you? What is it? What's it called?
well, that's the show All Inspire, which is on YouTube.
Okay, okay, okay.
And then from there, I suffered a little bit with anxiety. I started to feel really anxious. And my father had passed away, and I think that kind of triggered something in me where I felt this sense of like lack of control, because at that time I had just graduated with my second degree in acting. I was auditioning. I had gotten a I gotten a talent agent, but it's very unstable. The money was very unstable. So I just felt really out of control. I dealt with anxiety and it was getting worse. And I felt like if I didn't do something at that point in my life to change it or to change what I was doing, but the anxiety was affecting my marriage so much that I would have gotten divorced.
Hmm.
And at that point, I stepped into my first yoga class in years. And I walked into a 40-day yoga challenge. And during the 40-day yoga challenge, I practiced yoga for 40 days straight, 6 days a week. I completely changed my diet, and I started to practice mindfulness tools at that time. So I was meditating, I was doing breath work, I was journaling. It was all part of the challenge. And I felt my anxiety started to really simmer down. I felt better than I'd felt in a very long time. I felt strong physically because that was the point when I cleaned my diet out too, because there was a whole nutrition aspect to the challenge. I just felt good. And that was when I got into wellness, and I started to love yoga so much that I ended up doing a 28-day challenge after that. And then I went right into a teacher training program, and I got my teacher training certification. But it backfired a little bit. Clean eating for me backfired a little bit because I was somebody who I'm very type A. I have a very type A personality. Anytime I can control something, I like to feel control because of everything else, I guess, in my life at the time that felt out of control. So, so the clean eating made it so that I became afraid of eating anything that was a white flour that had sugar in it, and I started to lose a lot of weight. And I was naturally thin. I've never been very overweight. I've never been heavy or anything. I've always been like a slight thin person. Just genetically, that's the way that I am. But when I started doing power yoga 6 days a week, the heated power yoga, and eating so clean, I was restricting calories at that point that I lost so much weight, drastic. I was 5'6" and I weighed 108 pounds.
Hmm.
So I was my BMI, like your BMI, I think a normal is like 18.5. Mine was 17.5. I was I was underweight where it was unhealthy. So I started teaching yoga in the gym, and one of the trainers at the gym told me to start tracking my calories. He's like, just make sure that you're replacing the calories you're burning. He's like, because you're burning so much. He's like, I think he was nicely telling me that I was underweight, and the tracking didn't, because I'm so type A and I felt so out of control with like the acting and not knowing what was going on, like not knowing where the money was gonna come in because it was so unstable. It backfired, and then I was controlling calories, and then I was losing even more weight. It's really unhealthy. And through my yoga practice, believe it or not, I did another 40-day yoga challenge and got present to the fact that I was really underweight and I was doing something really unhealthy. And I started to slowly gain the weight back, and I felt better. And I felt like I want to be able to help other people to find that balance, which is interesting, Zoom, because we were talking about the balance, right? About the balance when you're starting your own business and with your personal life. So when I finally was able to find the balance between my yoga practice and my health, I got my nutrition certification and decided to start my own business with it. So now I offer wellness tips and tricks on another YouTube channel called Nourish Your Soul Wellness, which is the name of the business. And I'm really pursuing hosting. I'm really going for it for the hosting. I just enjoy meeting people. I enjoy learning people's stories, and helping people. So that's
Wow.
where I am right now. That was a lot. I'm sorry. That was
that was
so long, that description, but
No, that's great. I can relate to you in the dieting thing. As far as losing, well, as far as your diet is concerned, I should say, because in 2012 I was up to 225 pounds, and I changed my diet because of health reasons, and I also stopped consuming sugar, starch, things like that. And as a result, I dropped below my back down to my high school weight. So I'm now back to, I went from 225 to about 145. So, and
wow.
that was simply because what was it was not intentional. It was just because I couldn't consume sugars because it was causing problems with my system. So,
Mhm.
and I didn't even know I'd lost that much weight. I was at the doctor in 2012 and they weighed me. I was 225. And then in 2017, I had gotten some kidney stones and I had to go to the hospital. And then they weighed me when I was there and they said I was 145. I was like, what, really? It's like, I didn't even know
Wow.
I did not even know I'd lost them. I knew my belt was going down, my belt, because it was using the smaller loops, but I was like, I did not know I'd gone down that tiny. I was like, so I asked my sister, we were together a couple weekends ago. I said, do I look skinny? She says, no, you look like you did in high school. You look about the same age. So I guess I look skinny, but just normal skinny. So hopefully I'm not underweight.
Right.
So I'm not, so, but I can understand, I can somewhat relate to what you're saying there about the losing that weight there. I am getting a little concerned though, because I had to created a couple of notches on my belt that were actually not there before because I got that much skinnier. So, I had to go much. I had to create two more holes on my belt that were smaller than the belt was originally intended to be.
That's amazing. Did you have to buy new clothes though? You lost 80 pounds.
Yeah,
That's no.
the pants I bought these pants and they have a special they have the special adjustable waist. So the belts like when I was bigger, it just stretched out a little bit more, and like the sides would stretch out a little bit. So the pants were just designed. The shirts uh, didn't really change. So no, I didn't have to. No, I didn't. It's kind of I'm still wearing the same size and everything. So that I don't. I guess it's because I all the pants I had were all I wear khaki pants all the time. So they
Mhm.
all I bought them all with a special adjustable waist, and then the shirts were all just small to begin with because I was kind of small to begin with. So the shirts were a little tight when I was wearing them, so they just got more loose fitting now. That's all.
Okay. Well, I mean, if as long as you're happy and you feel healthy and comfortable and you feel good, then way to go. That's no small thing to lose 80 pounds. It's big.
Yeah, it was the funny part was I didn't know like I said, I didn't know I'd actually lost that much. When they're weighing me and they're going, "You're 145 pounds," I go, "Wait, what?" It's like, wait a minute. But yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's like what happened to me. I didn't know that I was losing so much weight, and then I did, and I was like, oh, well, now I wasn't healthy anymore for me, but now we're better.
So as far as your show, the show that you do you have you helped I mean, how many people do you help on a regular basis? Is it a regular number?
What do you mean as far as how many people watch the show or watch my content?
Didn't you say you helped people? Maybe I missed something there. I'm sorry. Did you say that you help people through problems or how did you say
Well,
that?
well, like through teaching yoga and through coaching clients, nutrition coaching clients, I like to help people that way.
Oh, okay. Okay. I wasn't sure if you did on like an individual basis or something like that. I got you. So,
Well, when I do work one on one with clients if they want with nutrition coaching.
oh,
Mhm.
okay. Okay, okay. I misunderstood. I thought maybe you did like some sort of like counseling thing as far as I misunderstood when you said that. So, okay, I got it. That's cool. The and as far as would you like me to I can promote your channel if you'd like. I can put that in the description later on. Would you want the people to see you check it out?
Yeah, that'd be great. If people are interested, absolutely. And they can also follow me on social media as well, because I do post my content on Instagram and Facebook and all those places.
So as far as your do you have a large following on your social media accounts?
Well, Instagram is 1100 now,
Oh, okay.
but the
Yeah,
more
but
the merrier.
the what we'll do is after we're finished with the show, you can give me all the information. I'll post it in the description below so people can check it out. So, all right.
Great.
Well,
Thank you so much.
let's go back to the question we asked at the beginning of the show, and we can see what kind of reaction we got here. Let me find my mouse. All right. Well, it's kind of average. Usually, what happens is within an hour we get about 100 votes or so. Looks like we got 92 so far and 9 responses. What is your favorite place to vacation? It looks like 57% is you choose. Leave the response in the comments. So that's the number one choice. Florida is number two at 25%. We got a tie with San Diego and Bermuda at 7% and Aruba at 5%. So let's take a look at the responses here. As I said earlier, I expect to see a lot of San Andreas responses. Las Venturas, that's from San Andreas. Not sure what that says. Mad, what does it say?
The Maldives? Is that the Maldives?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. What is that?
Actually.
Oh, we could go. It's okay. We can skip back to go to the next one. I'd love to go to Las Venturas or Las Vegas. That's interesting. Las Vegas right now is like really hot. We're like talking. The temperatures have been like around like 110 degrees, between 105 and 110 degrees for the past couple of weeks. I don't know if I could tolerate that much heat.
Yeah, and that heat is like no joke. You're in the desert.
Yeah. What in New Delhi, India, filled with 7 wonders. Oh, that's an interesting response. I like that one. Let's see. As it say, I can't read that one. It says
Sakna in Egypt.
Something in Egypt. Yeah, I can't read what that says. Sorry. My house my house or somewhere cold. I hate the heat. Oh, interesting. It's like my dad. When my dad was my dad would always say he'd rather it be wintertime than summertime because he couldn't stand the heat. And his logic was if it was cold outside, at least you could go inside somewhere where it was warm. So I can tolerate any kind of weather personally. I mean, as long as it doesn't get too extreme one way or the other, I'm usually pretty happy with both. But that's an interesting answer. Let's see. Somewhere in my home in the state of Colorado. Okay. Somewhere in your home. So does that mean you would be maybe in your bedroom or your kitchen? Or it's interesting response there. San Andreas, of course. And
it said somewhere in their home state of Colorado.
Oh, so maybe state. Oh, my mistake. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I misread that. Thank you. Thanks for catching that. Thanks for catching. We got San Andreas from Brandon P. He's a regular commenter, and Vice City, which is another Grand Theft Auto game. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one. So it's
it sounds a video game-ish to me, that one.
Vice City is a satire of Miami, Florida, in case you're wondering. So all right. Well, how do you like those responses?
I think they're great. I actually love the one in the home state of Colorado. I want to go to Colorado so bad, and I just have not been able to get there. My husband and I were trying to get there a few years ago, and it didn't work out. We couldn't book a hotel. I don't know.
It's I've never been there, but a close friend of mine was there one time. We were chatting, and he said the air is extremely thin because it's so high up in the elevations. How high it's elevated. I mean, I found that quite interesting. But I've never been there myself. I do have some clients. I've had some clients. They no longer have them, but I've had clients. I've had to deal with some of the areas in there. It's pretty interesting. So specifically Denver. But yeah,
do you know how high the altitude is there? I wonder if people get altitude sick.
I don't know.
It's not high.
I have a cousin that lives there, but I don't talk to him, so I'm not sure. He's kind of a jerk. I don't really want to talk to him. So
okay, that's fair. Yeah, because I went to Peru about 3 years ago, and the elevation's so high that we were getting altitude sickness.
What happens when you get altitude sickness? What do you I've heard of it.
Oh, it's like nausea, stomach pains. It's not fun. Like when I came home, because what happened was when we were in Peru, they have an altitude sickness medication that you can take there, which is great. It works because when I came home, I was really sick and it was altitude sickness coming back. And they thought that they didn't know if I had dengue. They were testing me for like yellow fever. Like they didn't know what was wrong with me, but it was altitude sickness.
Wow. Well, at least it wasn't too. I guess I'm assuming that's not too serious, or is it? I mean, it sounds like it seems like you just get over it once you get back to the regular altitude, I assume. So
yeah, it went away.
Is it similar to like if you go down into like if you go into the like too deep into the ocean, like with the pressure increase, like is it similar to that where it's where you have only to the opposite where you're getting less pressure instead of more pressure? Is it something to do with pressure? I mean, I assume.
Yeah, I don't even know what it has to do with.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right. Sorry. I can look it up.
That's okay. I was just curious as to when you said that. That's what it seemed like the closest I can come up with people that get the bends when they go in deep in the water, and they don't allow the pressure to their body to readjust to the pressure as they come back up to the upper levels. I'm assuming it might be something similar to that, but I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I just looked it up. So it results from a rapid change in air pressure and air oxygen levels at higher elevations. So exactly, you're exactly right.
Oh, okay. So it is similar to that. Okay,
Hmm.
interesting. All right. Okay, well, that's a good one. So, for those who want to continue to answer the question, go ahead, and we'll check it on the next show. Amanda, do you have anything else you'd like to add to our viewers?
No, I just want to thank the viewers for for coming and for listening and for offering their opinions. I'm really excited now. I want to go look into traveling to Colorado. And I want to thank you also, Zoom, for having me on. It was a pleasure chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, that was very fun. I enjoyed the conversation. So, alrighty. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll have another show probably tomorrow. So, I'll see you then.